Thank you. Okay, I've just taken an attendance. Sorry. Okay, good morning everyone. So last week we discussed about the research designs, and then we saw about study design, and I've also sent you the articles. If you remember, if I have in the WhatsApp group, I've just sent you the article, sample articles I have sent you. So this is just only for your sample format. Probably from there you can start on to draft your own research. Few of you have messaged me asking about the publication deadline. Deadline is on examination day. Examination will be in the month of September, something like that. You should check your academic calendar 6 months from now. So you have begun your classes in the month of May. So 6 months from now you will have your examination. During examination day, please make sure you have your publication done. So any doubts in publication, I'll be on and off telling about publication so that you can start, like gathering the information, start drafting your paper. Do not hold time, because publication sometimes it might take like 3 months and 4 months. It might even take like 6 months also. I'm just giving you a caution here. So please make sure that you start drafting your paper. Your paper has to be relevant to your thesis, so that it's helpful for you. So draft it out and then send to the publishers, get the confirmation, get the acceptance letter, and then start publishing it out. And as I told you, this is a very commercial industry, so they might really ask you more money, the publishers. So please be careful. If you want to check about the journal, please send a text to me in WhatsApp so I can help you to vet the journal, because there are many fake journals. I don't want you to become a victim of all these, like fake journals. So once you get acceptance, you please send to me. I will do my cross-checking whether it is an authorized, authenticated journal. Then you can just go to publishing. So once you publish, that's where your assignment has been done. So this is all about publication. So any doubts, you can please text me, or you can unmute and ask me before I start the class. I think we have got one new person today as well. So please, Catherine Johnson. So you please follow the class. Any doubts, just unmute yourself and then raise the questions. So reminding everyone, any doubts before I start?
No, Prof.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir. Oh, he's saying okay, fine. So we'll go ahead. I'll just start sharing my slides. And for your information, I'm recording the session. Okay, you know what? Actually, I assume that you are all with me while I'm doing my class, because I don't want to just speak to the monitor. Okay, so we had a discussion among our lecturers. It was being told that for other lecturers, not for me, other lecturers, what happened was, when the lecturer was giving presentation and the class was going on, all students disappeared. He was speaking to the monitor for the last 30 minutes, it seems. So I don't think that it should happen in the PhD classes. So please don't disappear. I really want 1 hour time with you, so just spend the time over here in the session. So I'll try to finish as soon as possible. Okay, now today we are in technically 5th week, but we are in our 4th session of advanced research methodology. So last week we discussed about the designs, and now we are coming about data collection. That is, we are going to the field. If you go to the field, how data collection has to be done. Now, just to make you understand, your data collection you will be doing in your 3rd semester. Okay, 3rd semester or 4th semester will be doing a data collection. Now, 1st semester you are with me. 2nd semester you will be doing your chapter 1 and 2. And then your 3rd semester is where you will do your proposal defense. Once you defend your proposal to the panel in Limcock University, once they agree, they will give you a pass grade so that you can proceed to your data collection. Data collection means you are going to the field to meet your respondents, and then you're going to collect the data, and then you're going to come back to your place and then start doing your analysis. So data collection is a very crucial part. I would not say important, but crucial part. That is, if you make a mistake in data collection, your entire research goes for toss. If you make a mistake in literature review, it's fine. Okay, because again we can correct it. But data collection, if you do a mistake, again you have to go back to your streets to start doing your data collection. So you have to really concentrate. So today we are going to see about types of data collection and then how the instruments are being made. Very simple class. There's no any rocket science here. It's quite simple, but I really want your concentration. So we'll see about data collection method and then about constructing instruments. So as I told you, it's a crucial stage. If data collection has a flaw, then analysis will have an error. It's easy to understand. If analysis has a flaw, findings has an error. If findings goes wrong, contribution will go wrong. If contribution goes wrong, your philosophy will go wrong. If your philosophy is going wrong, then there is no point you doing your research. So it all starts from data collection. So if this is correct, if it has correctly been done, if you know the exact sample number, if you know the right instrument, if you know what sort of data collection method you should use, if you do all in the right way, your philosophy will not go weak. So starts from data collection. So there are two main approaches where we do in data collection, based upon these four issues. That is, for a situation, for a person, for a problem, for a phenomenon, for all these information if you want to gather, there are two main approaches, primary and secondary. I think this is a very common thing which you have learnt in your, maybe in your college days or in your school you have learned about it. Primary means you go directly. Secondary means I go to the existing literature, I do my collection. I again repeat, primary sources means I do first hand. I go to the field, I meet my respondents and I get from them. That's called primary. Secondary is which has been existing. Already it has been there somewhere, I go collect my data. For example, if I have to do a data collection about, research about the money fluctuation of the ringgit price towards the pounds or sterling, I simply have to look into the data of the last 3 years and last 3 months, or like last 4 years and something like, because I cannot go ask people, I cannot go ask you, do you remember what was yesterday's price, before day price? I cannot ask you all those things because nobody has got that memory power. So what I do is, I go to my data sheet, statistical sheet, which says to me 1 year back what was the ringgit versus pound. So fluctuation, I can look into that. So that becomes my source. From that source, I do my analysis. So here, the researcher has not done primary, he has done secondary. So secondary means I go to existing source and I pick the data. Primary means you are going first hand. So primary means first hand, secondary means second hand, in a very simple definition. But you should understand now, in your PhD, please make sure you do only primary. Secondary is not been accepted. For any reason, do not count to do on secondary research. You should meet your respondents for sure, be it IT, be it any science, be it any kind of anthropology. Whatever is where we have to do only on primary. That's why I mentioned doctor researchers has to be based on primary data majorly. Avoid performing research based on secondary because those are considered as literatures and reports. If you do by secondary, people will just discount the fact, oh, it is just a literature review. That's what they will be discounted. So please focus. This point, many people majorly they ask me, what should I do in my research? Can I go to the existing literature and I can do a research? No, not accepted. You are supposed to go to the primary. That is, you are supposed to do your research by you on your own. First hand information is important. Now, how do we get these data? What is the kind of primary and what is kind of secondary? These are the classifications. Methods of data collection. This picture please take in your phone. If you want to take a snap now. So this is what we're going to discuss in this class. We have got like primary source and secondary source. In primary we have got like 3 classification. In secondary we got 1 classification. So this is the major methods of data collection. Take a picture. We'll go one by one. So we have discussed what is called primary, what is called secondary. Let's come to the first part called, observation. As the name indicates, observation is but you observe and you watch a particular incident and then you collect the data. I might meet my public, I might meet my respondent, I might discuss with them, I might observe their behavior, I might observe their pattern, and then I do my data collection. The example could be like to ascertain the functions performed by a worker, like to study of dietary patterns of a population. So here I am observing. I cannot ask, like your pattern, I cannot go and ask what's a dietary pattern. So I observe the person by what is dietary pattern, what has he been having, what is he consuming. So this is an observation. In observation, we have got 2 classifications called participant and non-participant. Participant means the researcher himself becomes a participant. Himself or herself becomes a participant. This happened to one of our Viva. The student was from, I think he's from Kazakhstan. Okay, so I can't name his name, student name. So he was presenting about the bank industry in Kazakhstan. So he was doing his final Viva. At that point of time, he said one important point. I was internal examiner. So he was telling a point that, in Kazakhstan there are banks which are very confidential. They don't reveal the information. So it was hard for me to collect the data. So for that reason, I was not able to get full-fledged. I am not satisfied with data collection. So I was only happy like 50-60% I was able to do my data collection. That's what he admitted. So the panel asked, why you never tried other modes? You cannot come to a Viva and then tell us that no, you cannot collect data. You can even take some more time. And he said, not about the time, sir, but I cannot collect because it's very confidential. The banks never reveal information. How do I get? It's very confidential. Then we said you should have approached your central bank. You should have taken your ID card and then gone there. You should have told about your research candidate. Whatever we said, he had an answer. He said, no, it is not possible. My country is completely, it's the blocks, highly secured information. They can't reveal. So I'm not able to get it. So he was standing very stubborn in the point. But that was one thing he missed is he could have become a participant observer. Okay. Participant observer means that you become a participant of the bank. Don't ask me, should I become an employee? We have got no idea. If you are really perseverant, you should become a participant and get the data inside. This is really valid thing. But the researcher said only one point, I cannot go because confidential, secured, they didn't allow me inside. But our answer was, you failed to do about this participant observation. You should have gone inside as a participant. Be a customer, be a friend of a bank manager. You could have gone as a press reporter. You could have gone as researcher, somewhere get inside. That is, you be a participant and get inside. Don't just be an outside person to get the data. So this is one thing. Example is, examine the reaction of general population towards people in wheelchair. If I have to study about people in wheelchair, how do I know? I don't know, because they might have a different, like behavior while sitting in a wheelchair. So what we say is, you go and sit in a wheelchair and then get the feel how it is. Second is still more interesting. It might look very absurd and weird, but it is very practical. Second example, study the life of prisoners and pretend to be a prisoner to carry this research. How filthy is it? That is, if you want to study about prisoners, they're asking us to pretend as a prisoner. It doesn't mean I'm asking you to kill or rob something else. Don't take me wrong. Once again. Oh, somebody else joining inside. So now, it doesn't mean that I'm asking you to be a, like a robber or thing, but you should find out a way how to become. You should find out a way to become a prisoner and then get inside. So again, I say, don't take me wrong. I'm not asking you to become an hardcore prisoner, but you should find out a way for it. This is called participant. Participant means you become part of the research respondent. You act or you pretend, do anything else. Whatever it is up to you, go ahead. As long as ethically it's permissible limit, go ahead and then get things done. That is called participant observer. You become a participant in the respondent. You become one among them and then you get to know about their feelings. Second is non-participant, completely contradictory. That is, you do not become participant, you just observe as a third person. The example here is, study the functions carried out by nurses in hospitals. So here you just watch and you observe and then you record the activities. You cannot, you cannot become a nurse now. You cannot go there and then you cannot earn your degree and become a nurse now. So what I'm saying is, you can just be a third person, be a non-participant. These things are fine, like you can observe things. This is called non-participant, which is what normally people do. But extreme cases, please become a participant. That is, you become one among them and then get the data. So your objective is very clear. You should get the data somehow. Do not have a very flimsy reason or a very childish reason saying that it is not possible, I cannot get, it's very confidential, it is very secured, they don't reveal. All these things everybody knew. Everybody knew it's confidential. No bank is going to call you and then give you data. No prison is going to call you and then give you data. But when you are a researcher, when you're doing something about a very sensitive industry sector, you have to find the ways to get inside. So this is about observation. Then we have something called interviewing. As you know, what is interviewing? It's a view. Interview. I have one view and then you have one view. We have an interview here. We have a discussion. That is, I question to you or you question to me. We have a discussion. Interviewing. So it's one-to-one interaction. In interviewing, we have structured and unstructured. Structured means it's very formal. Before I go to the interview, let's say, for example, if I'm interviewing a CEO, I want to take information about leadership styles in organization. So I want to take the top management cadre, so CEO, CFO, CTO, COO. I should go and have an interview with them. So before I go, I make a formal question with me. 5 or 6 questions, I take them and I meet them. It's very formal. I say, sir, can I start the interview? I'm recording the entire interview of ours. Do you accept it? And then I'm giving him all the kind of preparation to speak. And then I'm doing very formally a structured question. Structured question, same question I asked to CEO, same question I asked to CFO, very structured, very formal. This is called structured interview. Unstructured is again contradictory of the first one. It is like completely informal. I can just call the CEO, I can say, sir, I would like to have a very informal chat. Can we meet in the Starbucks? Can we go down there? Can we just have a walk? Can we have a chat? So I take an interview over the telecall. So this is informal. Both are agreed. It's up to you to decide, because some people might not really invite you to their office to discuss. So they might say, let's go for a chat, let's go for the club to discuss. So you have to find out a way to get inside. Oh, somebody is joining. So both are agreed. So you can do either like structured or unstructured. And next comes the most important part, which many of you will be doing it, is the questionnaire. You all know what is called questionnaire, I believe. So today we will look into about questionnaire framing is what we will be looking it out. So questionnaire is a set of questions properly arranged, properly adapted and developed, and then I am circulating it to my respondent. In questionnaire we have got mailed and collective, hardly matters, but we'll just look into, for the sake of understanding, we'll see. Mailed questionnaire is I send an email of the questionnaires, or I just send the postal letters to my respondent. Okay, so we do not meet them in person. We go, like through any kind of communication mode, we send them, or through electronic mode, I email them. So this is what is called mailed questionnaire. The collective questionnaire is I go face to face. I go meet my respondent, and then I say I'm doing a research, I'm doing a PhD on so and so, this is my topic, I have got some 30 questions, please kindly help me to answer those questions face to face. Now, among all these, types of data collection, people celebrate collective questionnaire. Apart from observation, apart from interviewing, apart from everything else, all these, like what is in your screen, apart from all these data collection, in primary source, people prefer and people celebrate, and people always, researchers, we all feel the best, or one of the right ways to collective questionnaire. Why? Because we meet the respondent. There is something called tangibility. Tangibility means I learn from you, and then I can see a gesture. Imagine if I'm sending you a questionnaire through email, I don't know what you are having a gesture. You might just put agree, disagree, you might just put a tick and send to me. I might not know the value of it. But if I'm standing in front of you, there is one problem called Hawthorne effect. You might not be very, very honest, because since I'm standing in front of you, you might not answer me. But still, I can see a gesture. Which question you shy, which question you're so much contemplating, I can see that. That's called tangibility factor. This also happened in one of our Viva. One of our students did entirely through online. He sent all his questionnaires, like 350 questionnaires he sent through online, and then he did data collection. We rejected. We said, no, you're supposed to meet somebody. Meet somebody in the data collection. How can you sit? No, he said, I cannot go to my country because my country is undergoing a war. Okay, so I cannot go. So then change your geography. Who asked you to take the country? Change another country. That's what the simple thing is. We have to be arrogant. When a student is irresponsible, the panel becomes so arrogant. So do not say that, like I cannot go. For example, it happened now. All my students in my supervision are telling to me, Prof, it is a COVID season. It's a COVID outbreak. So we cannot go back to a country. What do I do? So for me, I had no reason to say them, no sympathy. I said, no, we have to wait and get things done. You cannot say this is an excuse. Of course, there is a coronavirus outbreak going on. Nobody can travel. Nobody can cross the borders. But your geography is your country. You have to take an observation in your country. You cannot sit here and do data collection. 20%, 30% is fine. Out of 100%, 20% I can send through my email is actually agreed. But if you do 100% through email, I'm sending you a questionnaire, everybody responds to me in email. What is the learning? There is no learning at all. So don't take the risk. Please have collective, that is, please meet your respondents in person. Whatever happens, it is some kind of an issue, a war, or you cannot travel because of your budget, nobody is going to accept the excuse, because it's a research. You're going to get a doctorate degree. You're going to have this word. So do not take a gamble by, claiming that 30%, I'm doing in electronic, I'm doing 70%, I'm doing in my online, face to face. Don't take any gamble. For any particular reason, there is one reason accepted. The CEOs never gave appointment. Employees were completely out of, they did not allow me to go inside. So this is where I used like 20% of my data collection was done through mailing. I emailed the questionnaire, I sent through post, but 80% I had an face-to-face interaction. So please make sure you do collective questionnaire. If you're doing qualitative observation interviewing, be a participant or unstructured or structured, you can decide about it. This is mainly about the primary sources. So choosing about which is best, interviewing best or questionnaire is best. This is again a question which you might ask. Which is the right one, interviewing or questionnaire? Again, as I told you, it has to depend upon these three things. Nature of investigation. What is the investigation all about? And then your geographical distribution of population. How many people are there? And then study population, types of population. So all these things should determine whether you can use questionnaire or interviewing. As I told you in my earlier classes, if your population is large, please prefer quantitative. That is like if they are like 75,000, 85,000, 95,000, you cannot go and observe. It's not that easy to observe. You have got only 3 to 5 years to finish your PhD. So do not take a risk of qualitative when your population is large. But imagine your population is like only 300, 400, then you can do a sampling and then you can make like 50, 60 samples, you can go for qualitative. You can observe or you can do an interview. It's fine. Imagine one interview, don't think one is like easy like one number. One interview might take easily 1 month for you to get an appointment, to fix an appointment with them, prepare the questions and then go them, get there, all the timing inside, and then they will speak all crap. They have to speak for 2 hours. From 2 hours you have to do and shortcutting, you have to filter it and then take for what you want. This happened to me when I went for interview to take my respondents and observation. When I went over there, they spoke to me for 30 minutes. I don't know what they spoke to me. I was just observing, I was just wondering what they're speaking. I asked one question. For one question they answered me for 30 minutes. So I got lost. I ran to my supervisor. I said, what is happening? I asked a question. They're speaking too much. I don't know what they're speaking because I'm not from the industry. I'm only a researcher. So I'm not able to come to their level. So there is a problem. If you're doing observation interview, your respondent will speak everything whatever they like. They're going to speak to you for 30-40 minutes, 1 hour. So you should be very clear what exactly you want. Your question should be so sharp, very particular to ask them what you need. So every sample what you're going to take is very expensive in terms of time. So you decide in terms of population, in terms of investigation and then geography, then decide whether you can do quantitative or qualitative. Decide you can do questionnaire or interviewing. This is something which you should use your common sense to apply it. Like, you cannot just decide I will take questionnaire. Questionnaire has its own demerit. It has got its own merit. Interviewing has its got own demerit and own merit. I can tell you both pros and cons. All depends upon your number of your population and then your geographical distribution and types of nature of investigation. On sample selection, I think its next class is my sample selection. How do you do sampling is most important. Next week we will discuss about sampling. So forget about that point, how many to take. Is it 30 or 300 or 400? I will tell you next week what's about sampling. But at this point of time, you understand to decide interview or question or observation, you use these 3 factors. Your investigation, your geography means which place are you doing about the country, and then type of study population. This is where you should determine which you should choose. And now coming to the questionnaire. The questionnaire, sometimes it has got really the better merit. It has got really something, a very big strength, but sometimes it has got its own demerit as well. I'll tell you what is merit and demerit here. It's mentioned in the screen. So you can see the advantage of questionnaire. It offers great anonymity. That is, people will not know my name, will not know my name, so that I can write, I can be very transparent, I can write whatever it is, I can mark because they cannot see my name. If you put the name in questionnaire, the questionnaire is lost. In a questionnaire, name should not be there. It should be anonymity, it's anonymous. Everybody should be able to mark freedom. They should have their empowerment to mark whatever they feel like. As there is no face-to-face interaction, the respondents possibly answer all sensitive questions with good spirit. So it's unbiased, it's an advantage. What is the disadvantage? Selection of right sample is a challenging task and respondents may consult others before answering. Importantly, they might not have evidence to all responses. This is something quite funny, something they copy also. When you distribute the questionnaires to employees or customers, they will ask, what did you mark, can I mark? A question, I think you would have seen a questionnaire, right? I'll show you some example of questionnaire. Questionnaire is like they ask you, are you satisfied? How do you like the service? How do you rate our service? In Limpopo University, we do that after every examination. We give one paper about the lecturer feedback. It's an open plus close-ended, so that you have to mark how is the lecturer punctuality, how is the lecturer's language, how is the lecturer's knowledge, how is the lecturer's support for you. There's a set of questions there. So you can mark agree, disagree. There are some pointing like 1 to 5. You can put good or bad action. You can point that. And there is last section called what do you think about to improve our education delivery. So you can write one paragraph what do you think. So it's like anonymous. We don't know, but some students copy also. I have found very weird. In my MBA, students does it. They'll say, okay, what did he put for number 1? What did he put for number 2? So they copy it. So this is where we lose the honesty there. So this is one of the disadvantage because people might, not be very answer. Sometimes they might put just tick, 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 tick. They might just go ahead. So this has got both pros and cons. And in a questionnaire, we got open-ended and then close-ended. Open-ended means you give and then you ask them, please let me know what do you think. Just open-ended question. Close-ended means you are giving exactly answer. You should only mark till 1 to 5. That's what you're giving to them. So that they have to stick only 1 to 5. They have to put either agree, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. You are giving them very clear, you have to mark only on this. But if it is open-ended, you are asking a one space, please write what do you think about so and so product. So they write one paragraph. So you have got two and like open and then close-ended. Preferably have a mixture of in your questionnaire. You can have majority of close-ended and then you can have one section of open-ended in your questionnaire. It's a list of questions, answers to which respond by respondents. It has to be prepared in the most scientific manner. Now questionnaire preparation is again one of the biggest big task, because if your questionnaire is wrong, your entire data collection will go wrong, right? Like you cannot make a mistake in a questionnaire. This is something which you should discuss with supervisor once you near your data collection. Before going data collection, in your proposal defense, we check the questionnaire. Is the questionnaire legitimate? Is the questionnaire making sense? Sometimes people ask some obvious question. Obvious question means it's going to be only agree. Nobody can say disagree. So they ask the question. It's a waste of your, you should not waste your questions. If you can ask only 30 questions, these 30 questions should be like a 30 pearl. You know a pearl, right? Pearls are very rare to find out of all the ornaments, very rare. You have to go to the dig to the ocean to find a pearl. It's very, very rare. So your 30 questions should be like a 30 pearl or 50 pearls. That is very, very, very genuine, very honest. It should have a very meaningful question. Don't ask some question which is very, very obvious. Obvious questions are example is, like if I have to run for water, I will be in a very hurry. I'll be running very fast to grab a glass of water. I will not walk like a tortoise. So here if you ask a question, do you run fast to drink water? People will say only agree. People will not say disagree. Do you like your company? Do you like your organization? It's a very obvious question. Who will say no? Nobody is going to say no because they are working organization. They will not reveal every information to you like that. You have to put in a very systematic way. Is the communication from your boss is making you to perform? Is the communication from your boss, from your immediate boss, is it making you to perform your task? Agree, disagree. Then they can answer it out. So your questions should be very sensitive and then very sensible. Very sensible questions you should make. So how do you get the questions? Making questions is like, it's one of the tough tasks. You require at least a week's time to make a questionnaire. You cannot make a questionnaire like that. Some people make questions immediately because you have to put your brain, you have to think a lot. So basically we adapt the questions from the literature review and then we develop questions. Our questionnaire is adapted. So understand, remember again, please concentrate here. There is a word I'm telling to you which is going to be useful in your Viva. You should adapt your questionnaire. Adapt means there is an existing structure of questionnaire already available from your literature. You can go to your literature and then check who has used what kind of thing and then you can adapt it. But there is something called developing your questions. Questions has to be from you. Questionnaire should be adapted. Please write down these points. If you even make a mistake, this is going to be like a trap for in your Viva future. And these are all points I'm telling to you only for information. A questionnaire should be adapted and then questions can be developed. If you tell that I developed the questionnaire, it's crap. It will be out. It will be disqualified. Who are you develop? You are just a researcher. You cannot develop a questionnaire. So you should always adapt a questionnaire and then develop questions. I again repeat, questionnaire should be adapted. It means a structure. How many questions? 5 or 6. The structure has to be adapted. Questions should be from you. So we will see an example now here. So how questions are framed, how it's been adapted, how can I develop a questions? If you remember, I told you in your first chapter you should have your research questions. Your research questions you should have based on your objectives. We say RQ. Okay, imagine you have got 5 RQ. You have got 5 research questions. Assume that if in your study you have got 5 research questions, you can probably have each question 5 sub questions in your questionnaire. I'll again repeat, assume you got 5 research questions. You can probably have 5 sub questions for each questions here. Like it goes like this. For the first question, you can have 5 research questions, 5 sub questions. Second research question, you can have second 5. For third, you can have third 5. So I'm telling you, each and every research question have 5 sub questions. So that you can put in your questionnaire has got 25 questions here. We will see one by one how is it. For the first question, you got 5. Second question, you got next 5. Third question, you develop. So for example, if you got 7, you can make 7 into 5, 35. So sir, should I have only 5 questions? It's not that. I'm giving an example here. You can have how much ever you want, but there should be a reason why I'm saying this is, for example, the 17th question, if I have there is a 17th number here, right? 17th question is from where? I can tell you 17th question is attacking a research question number 4. It's very clear. So here all my 25 questions is having a proof from my research question. I am not making every question from me. I am not just developing as I think. My questions in the questionnaire has got a proof from research questions. Do you all understand this point? It's very important. I'll again repeat, people who didn't follow me, please again listen to me. I'm telling you how to develop your questions in the questionnaire. Your questionnaire has got some questions, right? How do you develop there? So I'm telling you, assume you've got 5 RQ. You should have your RQ in your chapter 1. In your chapter 1, there will be some research questions. So each research question, I'm telling you to develop 5 sub questions, 5 or 6, whatever it is. So you develop for the first question, you develop 5, and you keep on going like that. So when I ask you number 25, what are you trying to say? You can say my 25th question is to attack my 5th RQ. My 4th question is to attack my number 1 RQ. So you have a reason for it. There is a reason, systematic reason why you develop the question. Each and every question should have a proper, like a justification why you ask the question. I think I should have an example here. Okay. Now imagine this is an example. I have got 5 research questions. Okay. The research questions are like, does FDI contribute to economic growth in Nigeria? Does inflation affect economic growth in Nigeria? Is there a relationship between inflation and FDI? Is there a relationship between economic growth and domestic? Does economic growth? So I have got some 5 questions. It is being done by a researcher. Okay, so I have taken from there this particular research. She has got 5 RQ. So now I'm going to show you the questionnaire. See how it looks. So she has got 5 RQ. From this 5 RQ, she is developing the questionnaire. The questionnaire looks like this. This is how the questionnaire looks. For the first RQ, does FDI have an impact on Nigeria's development? She is having 4 sub questions. See the first question, do you know FDI? The basic one, yes or no. And then second question, do you think FDI can improve employment opportunities? So people can mark strongly agree, disagree, they can mark here. So now this researcher has taken 4 sub questions for the first RQ. She has taken 5 sub questions for RQ2. She has taken 5 sub questions for RQ3. So for RQ3 is only yes and no. If you see RQ2, it's like strongly disagree, agree, everything has been there. So this is how the questionnaire looks. So she has got like 25, some 30 questions. This is the PhD questions she has developed. A very simplistic one. She has asked like 384 samples, she has done it out. It happened in Nigeria. So for this 5 questions, this question has been developed. I'm just showing you the questionnaire part, but there are some instruction part, there are some kind of, points to note. It's a questionnaire is like usually 5 pages. I'm just putting you a screenshot of just 2 pages here. You have to mention a lot, you have to mention about a small detailed study of what you're doing, because your respondent has the rights to know what you're doing. So you are supposed to mention all that, and then you put your question. So these are the questions. From this question, they do the analysis part. This is an example of a questionnaire. This is one more example of a questionnaire. It's a mixture of open and close. You can see the close-headed here. They're asking some employee survey, satisfaction survey. From 1 to 10, they're asking people to mark. And then there is something called open-ended. See down. It is like describe general employee morale. Open-ended. You can write whatever you want. But the top one has got, it is close-ended. People cannot write what they think. When they write benefits, they have to mark whether they satisfied or not between 1 to 10. They can only circle it, that's it. But in down column, they can write. It's an open-ended. So it's a mixture of, a template mixture of example of close and open-ended. It's a survey, it's a very simple survey question. You're asking like 4 options to them, 4 scale. Scale means there are 4 scales here, always, often, seldom, never. So people can mark, it's one thing. And then this is completely open-ended. Okay, you ask a question and then ask it right. So don't take risk of open-ended. If you ask open-ended question, it is equally like an interview. People will write whatever they want. You cannot gauge, you cannot analyze it easily. It's quite hard to open-ended question. So have only 1 or 2 open question. Rest all make it as a closed question. These are all advices I'm giving to you, but again you can discuss these things seriously with your supervisor. So don't try completely open question, please. People will write maximum whatever they want. It's going to be dangerous for you to analyze. This is a mixture of, again, like like close and open-ended question. There's the last 6th question, people can write whatever they want. In top 1, 2, people have to mark only the tick, only it. Only the tick has to be, only it has been accepted. So how do you construct the research instrument? So this is an instrument, question is an instrument, right? So clearly define individually list of objectives, research questions. For each objective hypothesis, frame a question that can be tested. And decide whether open or close-ended or mixed mode, Likert scale, whatever it is, and then finally formulate questions to obtain. So there is one word which you might not knew now, Likert scale. In step 3, see there is something called Likert scale. What is Likert scale? Likert scale, I will explain you now. Likert scale is types of scale in your questionnaire. I'll explain you later part of it. So now this is all the primary. Now we come to the secondary. Secondary sources are documents which you can take from government publication, earlier research, census, personal records, clients' histories, and service records. So these are the places where you can get the data. So please try to avoid secondary research, but these are sources. Sources are fine. If you are really looking into at this point of time, for your reference, you can probably check every country has got the ministry statistical website. In Malaysia, there is something called Economic Planning Unit, EPU, and there is also a Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, MIER. So you can go there and then you can get all the data, whatever you want. You want about the population, they have got data. The latest population, I'm not saying 2018 population. They have got population of 2019 December. Census happens once in 5 years. But there is an institution in Malaysia called MIER, Malaysian Institute of Economic Research. They have got updated census every year. So December 2019, you can know the population. So you have to know the government ministry. Nowadays, even the portals are giving you a lot of information. If you go to the United Arab Emirates portal, everything has been there. What is the death rate? What is the mortality rate? The country's ethnographic, everything else, all has been available. So go to a reliable source. Government publication is much like authenticated. Or earlier research or census, World Bank report, IMF report, UN report. There are many things like that to take secondary resources. You can take from there. The disadvantages, it might not be valid. It might be outdated. That is one thing. It might have some personal bias because some people, when they take in secondary results, they tend to amend the report, like they change the report. So that is something can happen, personal bias can happen. Sometimes data might not be available, the format different. So these are all disadvantages, but please try to avoid secondary. The reason why we are looking secondary is just for information, just for knowledge we are looking at now. This is why I was saying about Likert scale. So we have got 3 types of scales. In a PhD, normally academic, we use only Likert scale. We don't use Unstructured or Gutman. But anyway, let me explain to you. Likert scale means you have got like a scale in your questionnaire, like what we saw earlier. You can have 5 scale or 7 scale. 5 scale, 2 scale is called dichotomous. 2 scale means yes or no, agree, disagree. But normally we prefer to have 5 scale. 5 scale means can be agree, disagree, neutral, strongly disagree, disagree. So there are 5 scales. But people also use some 7. That is 2 more extra. That is I don't know, not willing to answer. So I'll repeat all the 7 now for you. The first could be agree, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, I don't know, not willing to answer. So all 7 can be there, but please stick to 5. The last 2 7, don't take them, because when you give an option I don't know, people will put I don't know only. They'll keep on ticking there. So do not take a risk of 6 and 7. Stick with the 5. 5 is fine for the Likert scale. And how many questions you should have? Please don't take 70, 80 questions. Nobody can answer. Everybody is busy. Imagine if I give you a questionnaire to mark for next 30 minutes, your brain will go drained. Your brain will get drained. You cannot answer 60, 70 questions. Average human psychology says you can answer 30 to 35 questions. So make it very simple, make it very clean. Because you have to analyze it. No point asking too many questions. You cannot analyze it then. So depending upon your objective, your hypothesis, your questions, develop a question and adapt a questionnaire and then make your questions. So please do, and also pilot testing. Pilot testing means before you go data collection, do a pilot test. That is, do a trial test. You can take a sample and then you can test whether they're okay. Sometimes people ask 100 questions, 200 questions. Not possible. Nobody can answer that. They will give at one point of time, they'll just keep on putting tick, 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 tick. So you might really miss the essence of data collection. So stick with 30 questions and then do a pilot test. Give to your people, give to the relevant sample size, and then do a kind of data collection. Then you understand. So this is first one is called Likert scale. Then we have got Thurston scale and then Gutman scale. These 2 and 3 is not being used in academic research. they use for industrial research. Industrial research means, like for example, done by United Nations, done by World Bank, done by Malaysian government. So they do this kind of scales, but it's basically has got agree, disagree, and then Gutman has got cumulative. Cumulative means they will say out of 5, if you mark your third, it means 4 and 5 not applicable. So out of, there are 5 options given to you in the respondent. So your respondent, if you click 3, it means 4 and 5 not applicable. You go with cumulative. So from 3, there's a next question. If you have clicked 3 above, please answer the 4th, 5th question. So they will go with cumulative. It's called, you know, like a cumulative measurement scale, which we don't use. It is used for sociological studies research. For academic purpose, please check with Likert scale. Likert scale, you can have 5 scales. Agree, disagree, neutral, strongly agree, strongly disagree. 5 is enough. So you can change the order depending upon your analysis format. So Likert scales are respondents allowed to weigh their response between sets of values, whatever it is. So this is what, you know, like this is what we said, right? This is an 6 scale. This example is 6 scale. Strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, and last is don't know. See, the problem is, what I faced is, when you put 6 or 7 scale, people will go for 6 and 7 normally, because everybody wants to take an easy cut. So they put I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Then you might lose it out. So avoid 6th one. Please have only 5. So you can get an answer between them. Okay, so that's it from today's class. So today we're done with data collection. What we have seen is data collection, types of instrument, and next class we'll be discussing about validity, reliability, and research instrument. Next class we will also look about sampling. Sampling is also part of, maybe I didn't mention here. So sampling is quite important because we should know how many people should I take as my respondent. So all this comes in sampling. So I will stop my slide sharing here. So any questions, please start shooting me now. We will also discuss about our publications as well. Any questions? Please unmute yourself and then you can pitch to me. You know what? There are 2 options here. If you don't ask me a question, there are 2 options. One is you understood everything, or you didn't understand anything. I don't know which one to take now. You people, I don't know which one to take. Because every time I'm asking you, there's no questions coming inside. But anyway, I'll take it positive. I always have scope of improvement, is what I think. I know you people are very intelligent. If you have got any questions, please text me inside. So what we have seen, I'll summarize. What we have seen is only about data collection. It's something which you know, but we are going in detail. Our subject is advanced research methodology. We are not doing basic methodology. If you're doing basic methodology, I can just tell you the slides, I can finish you up. But we are doing something called advanced research methodology. So we have to go in depth each and every aspect of it. That's what we have seen today. And coming about publication, I'll again recap. Publication, please start drafting your article. It's a lengthy process. I think any support you want, you can please send me a WhatsApp in person. I can help you to vet your article, whatever it is. I have sent a sample article of my students. So don't go for a very big, scopus sort of journal. Go to a journal which has got a fair impact factor and then start publishing it out now, because it might take some lengthy time. If you have got your acceptance and publication done, you're done with it. Okay, submission is on examination day, and I'm telling you, any kind of support you want, always please hit back to me in my WhatsApp, whatever it is. I'm open to have a discussion with you. So any questions, people? I believe your classes for the afternoon class is going on well, I believe. You have got a class with Dr. Imran as well. Is it all going fine? I can see your faces nodding. Okay, good. So go ahead. So
it's going fine with him, yes.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. So what we'll do is we'll just end up the class here. So I will send this particular slide. I will send the slides of whatever we have discussed today on Friday, because as I told you, that's a convention what we are following. Just to remind you that tomorrow is a class. So next week, Friday evening, you will receive the slide. If you want to rehearse, if you want to study something, please text me in WhatsApp. I will send to you individually the slides. Or else hold on, by Friday evening, I'll be sending the slides. If you want anything else, please text me, we'll take it forward. So can we bid? Okay, great. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend. We are done with it. See you all next week, 10:30 then. Thank you all. You can all leave.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So you all can leave, then finally I'll leave then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. 3 are there. Any questions you want to ask? Oh, Nicholas. Oh. Can you, everybody can leave, so finally I will leave. There's 3 people. Okay. One more to leave. So this gentleman, I think, are you there? He disappeared. Hi, Nicholas. Nicholas, are you there? Nicholas? You too, Brutus. Nicholas, where are you? In the office. Okay. Good. Okay, thank you, Nicholas. So once you disconnect, then I just want to, never mind. Okay, never mind. I was using this stuff. So just disconnect so that I just want to close it finally. I'm just recording the session. Bye. Take care. Run to the meeting. Bye. Thank you.